Smoove. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, wherever you're tuning in from, on whatever device you are listening on. My name is Jay Smoove, and you are listening to the Jay Smoove Patriots video podcast. This is episode number 13, and the draft finally happened. After all this wait, all this anticipation, all this speculation, finally got the NFL draft's first round. I'm recording on April 26th, and the first round was on the 25th, so I'm going to briefly go over the first round's highlights. I mentioned this in a couple videos ago that I'm only going to highlight the first round because I could talk about that first round and all 32 picks for hours. However, I don't want to keep you guys here for hours, so I'm going to try to condense it all down to a few minute video. So I will go over the top 6 picks. I think that was kind of the big hype leading into the draft, and then after that I'm going to kind of go into the picks that were involved in trades. There were 5 trades on draft night, I believe 5 trades from my account, and I'm going to discuss all those picks from said trades, and then at the end I'll talk about the Patriots selection at 32. Kicking off with number 1, the Arizona Cardinals took Kyler Murray, quarterback. This is an assumed pick. I mean, they have Josh Rosen. Now, with the Cardinals drafting Kyler Murray, what are they going to do with Rosen? The Cardinals, if they were going to trade Rosen, they wanted a first round pick. They didn't get that, so it's going to be interesting to see what they do moving forward. If they try to get a next year pick or a second round, third round this year's draft, it'll be interesting to see because the Giants were interested in him, the Chargers were interested, and the Patriots were interested. Now, the Giants got their quarterback last night in the draft, so they're out. Chargers could still be in play, and the Patriots could still be in play. However, the Patriots, according to Adam Schefter, had no conversation with the Cardinals in terms of a trade with Josh Rosen. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Cardinals play out with Josh Rosen. But like I said, Kyler Murray, number 1 to the Cardinals. Number 2, Nick Bosa, brother of Joey. He's defensive end, going to the San Francisco 49ers. That's kind of an easy pick right there. Nick and Joey are built very similarly, so you're probably more likely than not going to get the same player from Nick Bosa that we see in the NFL from Joey Bosa. I feel like that was an easy pick for him, for the 49ers. I mean, no need for a quarterback, so definitely go defense with this draft, early in the draft being very defensive heavy. Number 3, Quinnen Williams, defensive end, New York Jets. I love Quinnen Williams, and I hate to see him go to such a terrible team. I mean, there are just certain few teams in the NFL that ruin careers for players, whether it's early in their career, their mid-career. It's just, Quinnen Williams is such a dynamic player. He says he compares himself to Khalil Mack, and just to see him go to a New York Jet team that is going nowhere right now, you just hate to see it. Now, obviously, they've made some moves in the offseason. They got Adam Gase coach. They got Le'Veon Bell in the backfield. So, I mean, what I'm saying about the Jets could be wrong. And then all those moves plus Quinnen Williams could be what the Jets need. But what are the chances? I don't see it happening. So, I love Quinnen Williams. I hate that he went to the Jets. Moving on to number 4, Clelin Ferrell, defensive end, going to the Raiders. This was one of 3 picks in the first round for the Oakland Raiders, and I feel like the Raiders did what they needed to do. I mean, they rebuilt their defense a little bit, and all the moves John Gruden have made since the start of last year, I think, are kind of articulating into something good for the Raiders. I mean, it's still going to be very hard to compete out in that AFC West with the Chiefs and the Chargers, but it'll be interesting to see how that defense is going to be rebuilt around Farrell and rebuilt around Gruden's scheme come year 2. Number 5, Devin White, linebacker, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Not much to say there. A lot of people think that he's been the most complete player coming out of the draft right now, and he is quick, he's fast, he's strong. He reminds me a lot of Roquan Smith in terms of size, quickness, speed, agility, athleticism. So the Buccaneers got a gift at number 5 in Devin White, because I personally think he should have been gone before that. Number 6, Daniel Jones, quarterback, going to the New York Giants. We all know that the Giants needed a quarterback We weren't sure if they were going to take one at 6 or 17, or maybe trade for Rosen, whatever it may be. They took Daniel Jones out of Duke, and I've seen some videos of Giant fans' reaction to Roger Goodell saying the Giants pick, and they were not pleased. It was kind of hilarious. I mean, Daniel Jones is good. He's got a lot of upside, but at 6 though, I think that's a reach. I mean, Dwayne Haskins was still on the board. Drew Lock was still on the board. All the quarterbacks were still on the board, actually, besides Kyler Murray. So number 6 going for Daniel Jones is a reach, but I mean, that's that kind of organization with Dave Gettleman. He's making these bold moves that doesn't sit and resonate well with the fans. So I mean, we'll see how it goes. He's most likely going to be sitting this year. So I mean, he's young, so I mean, got to give him time. At number 10, the draft had its first draft night move, and that was between the Denver Broncos, who originally owned the 10 pick, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, who traded up to draft Devin Bush, linebacker. This is the guy that cleated and dug up the opponent's field, the 50-yard line, like the team logo, a few months ago. And I saw a video of it, and someone captioned, "This is the Steelers' first-round pick," and it was him, digging up, midfield. And I could just think to myself, like, wow, that's such a typical Steeler. Just seeing that, and I mean, he's a great player. I mean, he's no Devin White, but I mean, he's probably, right there next to him. I mean, probably the second best, maybe third best linebacker in this draft. Good move trading up to get Devin Bush for the Steelers, because without Ryan Shazier, they've really had a huge hole at that linebacker position, specifically in the middle. On the other end of that trade, the Broncos got the 20th pick from the Steelers. So Steelers and Broncos flip-flop 10 and 20. Obviously, the Steelers gave up something else. But with that 20th pick, the Denver Broncos selected Noah Fant, and Denver moved back to get Fant, who is a stud tight end. However, he's going to a poor offense. Now, they just got Joe Flacco, so I mean, things could change for that team, and they still have Case Keenum. But what I want to highlight here is the Broncos moved back and got their guy, which you don't see all too often in the NFL, and that just shows that Elway knows what he's doing. He has a plan, he has a vision, and that vision's kind of coming true, because they easily could have took him at 10, but they said, no, let's wait, let's get a few more assets, and let's take him at 20, because they thought he was going to be there, and he was. So props to Elway on that move. The remaining trades happened from pick 21 down, so I'm going to kind of briefly go over it. Seattle Seahawks traded with the Green Bay Packers, and the Packers selected Darnell Savage at 21, who is a safety. Not much to say there. They need to rebuild that defense. Baltimore Ravens and the Philadelphia Eagles trade at 22. The Eagles acquired the 22nd pick, and they drafted Andre Dillard, who is a offensive tackle. In that exchange, the Ravens moved down to 25, where they drafted Marquise Brown, who's a wide receiver, actually the cousin to Antonio Brown. From his highlights, from the clips I've seen of Marquise Brown, he looks like Antonio Brown, he plays like Antonio Brown. This is an exceptional pick for the Ravens, who need offensive help. I mean, they do need defensive help too, but when you have a player like Marquise Brown, who could possibly change your offense, moving down to get him, gaining other assets for other needs, and still getting your guy, similar to what the Broncos did, that's an A+ move right there. And Brown looks like the real deal. Now, obviously, hasn't played a snap in the NFL. We don't know how his game's going to translate come the big stage, but from what I'm seeing so far, I think this is a good pick right here. Number 1 wide receiver off the board. Moving forward, actually the next pick, 26, the Indianapolis Colts traded out of the 26th spot, and the Redskins traded into the 26th spot. And with that pick, the Washington Redskins selected Montez Sweat, a defensive end. Not much to say there. They're just trying to build their defense to compete in that NFC East. Next few picks were just kind of stand pat. I mean, teams that had those picks took those picks until we got to 30, where the Seattle Seahawks had the 29th pick. The Seahawks took that pick and traded it to the New York Giants to get DeAndre Baker, cornerback. I think drafting DeAndre Baker was very good for the Giants, because it gave them that lockdown corner that they desperately need. That defense is very exposed, and yes, it starts at the line, but having that cornerback that you can rely on is crucial. And I think taking DeAndre Baker, who was actually the first cornerback taken out of the deep position in the draft. So Good player going to a bad team, but possibly could make the team even better. I think he's a game changer, and he's exactly what that defense needs. Moving to 31, originally owned by the Los Angeles Rams, they traded out as the Falcons traded in, and with that pick, they took offensive tackle Caleb McGarry, which for 31, getting a tackle, good pick. They needed protection for Matt Ryan, who's starting to get up there in age, so you got to take care of your very expensive quarterback. So I have no complaints with this pick. They saw a need. They traded up to get that need. Patriots at 32. I'm going to go more into this on another video because I don't want to make this video too long. But Patriots, a lot of speculation say they're going to trade up to get whoever. They were going to trade out to get assets because they didn't really see a need that 32 could solve for them. However, they ended up keeping the pick and they took N'Keal Harry, wide receiver. Like I said, I'll go more into this in another video, and I actually have my live draft reaction to when Roger Goodell said the draft pick for the Patriots, which I'll involve in the next video, in the next episode. But N'Keal Harry, 32, going to the Patriots, wide receiver. Like I said, in the next episode, you'll hear my full breakdown of the pick so you can get a better understanding of how I feel, and I also want to know how you guys feel too. So that's going to wrap it up for today's episode. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about anything we talked about in this episode, please leave a comment down below. If you agree or disagree with anything I said in this episode, please leave a comment down below. Please consider subscribing for more content. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.